Hey again, it's Audrey, and I am so excited to share with you our team up this month between Just Nick and Jelly Bean Soup. And Jelly Bean Soup has generously donated some product for us to work with, and I'm going to work with the Mushroom Medley collection today on my page, and I'm going to use this cut file from the Just Nick store called Around the World. So when I saw the Mushroom Medley collection, I was thinking it was kind of like outdoorsy, and this summer my kids and I have been doing a lot of geocaching. So I wanted to use the geotag and the globe from this cut file. So I've gone and traced just that section of the cut file, the globe there, and the little geotag. And I'm going to first work with these geotags here and kind of move the globe off to the side because I'm not really certain if I'm going to use that globe or not. But my idea for this page is to make a whole bunch of geotags around the page and have one geotag be like the focus on my photo. And I wanted some of the tags, the geotags, to have the circle in the middle like the actual geotag icon does. And this cut file this geotag that's on this cut file has a heart in it. So I just separated those two pieces and deleted the heart. Well, first I made a copy of it, deleted the heart, and then just put my own circle in the middle there that I just drew with the drawing tool. So now I have a geotag with the circle in the middle instead of the heart. And now I'm going to draw a square that is the same size approximately as my photo. So my photo is about 3 3/4 inches, and I like to draw a box that's about the same size of my photo so I can kind of gauge the size at which to cut my shapes for my page. And I fill in the photo box there with a solid white color so that it looks like it's standing out from the background, and then I trace it with a black line, again, just to make it stand out. So here I'm just going to play around with the different sizes of the geotags and put a couple more on the page. Now, you don't see me going up and hitting like edit, copy, edit, paste, and I use keyboard shortcuts, so I use Control C for copying and Control V for pasting. So that's something you can't see here on the screen, but I'm doing that on my keyboard to copy and paste all of these geotag shapes. So I'm just going to scatter them around a little bit. And actually, the globe was kind of an afterthought when I saw it in the cut file. I thought that maybe I would try to use it. My initial plan was just to scatter geotags on the page like this and to make them in bright colors and again have one over my photo, but I thought that trying to use this globe would be cool. So I enlarge it, and I'm going to put it on another page just so I can work with it a little bit. And I decided that I thought that the spaces were too thick when I enlarged it that big. So I played around with it for a while, and I cut out some of the video here of all of my fiddling around with it. But what I figured out I had to do is I had to remove the outside circle and then just have the inside pieces. And I did an internal offset. And I offset the shapes a little bit so that I could make the lines thinner. So that's what you're seeing me do here is kind of do an offset to make the lines a little bit thinner so that when I cut this out of the pattern paper that it wouldn't be really thick white lines because my intention is to cut this out of white cardstock. So I know this is probably really confusing and it'll make more sense once you actually see it cut out, but actually I'm sorry, I didn't do an internal offset, I did an external offset. That's what I did to make the other lines thinner. So can you see how now the spaces between each of those shapes is smaller? I don't know if it's that obvious, and I know you're probably thinking that was not a big difference, but to me it was, and I wanted to have the thinner lines, so I didn't want them that thick. I wanted more of the background to stand out. So this worked for me, although you can see that some of the points, I've lost some of the points when I did the offset. So all I'm going to do here is double click on one of the shapes, and then you get this point editing, and I'm just going to click and drag some of those squares that have the points to make them a little bit more pointy, I guess. And so you can see these squares are already on here. You can add squares in or delete points. I'm calling them squares or points. But I'm just moving these points around to make the lines a little bit more straight and pointy and not as curved as they became after I did the external offset. And even after I do this, once I cut this file out, you'll see I have to actually even go back in with a pair of scissors and cut it out just a little bit more because it wasn't perfect. But you know what? It's totally fine. So that you can see how big the lines are on that one there. That was the original one. I'm going to delete that. And you see how the lines look thinner here now on this globe. So I was happy with that. And I'm going to place it kind of on my page like that just to kind of take up half the page. So that's going to be pretty much my final design. And I am going to move forward with that. So I'm going to put this one on a different page here so I can cut it out separately. And you'll notice when I go back to my geotag page, so my thought was, okay, I'm going to cut some of those geotags out from the background paper, not all of them, but a couple of them, and then I'll cut out others, just the tags from some colored pattern paper so that I can have some of these tags with paper, colored paper behind my background, and then some of the tags popping up off the page. But I'll show you a little problem that I actually run into with that I didn't think of ahead of time. So I'm deciding here which ones I want to leave on and which ones I want to remove. So even after I remove these and I cut the initial ones, after I cut these ones from the background paper, I go back and click undo, undo, undo a whole bunch of times and put these ones I'm deleting back on and then cut them out of pattern paper. So that probably didn't make any sense at all, but it makes sense in my head. Okay, so here's some of the goodies in the Mushroom Medley collection, some sticker sheets and a die cut sheet and a whole bunch of fun pattern papers. And you can see here I'm using the gray paper as my background. And here is the globe shape I've cut out of white cardstock. And the geotag shapes, you see I've only cut 4 out from the background. And like I said, I was going to cut the other ones out of pattern paper and pop them off the page. But here's the little problem I ran into. And that was that I was going to put pattern paper, colored paper, behind my gray piece. But the globe piece was in the front. And I wanted the geotags obviously to be on top of the globe. So I have to figure that out somehow. Now I've picked out a couple papers that I want to make the rest of my geotags out of, and I'm just cutting the pattern paper. And actually, I probably should have planned better about which specific colors I wanted, but I just kind of picked 6 different colors. I know I'm not going to use them all, but I like to have the choice when I'm arranging them on the paper so that I don't have to go back. So I just and cut something else again. So I'm just going to cut them all the geotags at once with one shot here on my cutting mat. So while that's cutting, you'll notice the top right of your screen there. You can see the mat moving it out of my silhouette. I'm going to go through and play with some of the geotags that got cut out of the gray paper. The back of that gray paper is this like pattern with the triangles on it, the colored triangles, and I'm just flipping those around to see if I'm going to use those or if they were too busy. And here's where I realized that I'm going to have to put those tags on top of the globe. So the globe is going to have to go down first. So bottom line is I probably shouldn't have cut the geotags out of the background paper. I should have just left the background paper solid, then glued the globe down and then popped off all the geotags from the globe. But like I said, the globe shape was kind of a last minute thought. It wasn't in my original plan, but anyway, it works. I can make it work. So I'm gluing this down, and I put a little too much glue on. I have to wipe that off. And all of my little tags have cut out, and I was bummed because I really need a new blade very bad and probably a new mat in my machine. And I forgot to, and I do this all the time, I forgot to change back the blade setting after I had used it on one thing. And the Jelly Bean Soup paper is a little bit thicker. It's not a super thin paper, so I probably should have gone up a blade depth. I think I was on 4, and I probably should have gone up to 5. And when I set my silhouette settings, I like to set a deeper blade depth than recommended because I don't want to have to cut it again. I want to make sure it cuts through the first time. So I usually use a deeper blade, but I forgot to switch this one back up to 5. So I did use a 4, and some of the tags didn't cut out all the way, but so I just went with scissors. Luckily, this is a very easy shape to cut out with scissors if need be, so it wasn't that bad. Okay, so I'm going just through just playing with all the different patterns, and like I said, I don't use all of them. I use most of them, but I wanted to stick really with the solid patterns because I felt that when I used the more busy patterns, that the shape of the geotag would get lost. Like you would lose that distinct shape. So, so yeah, I'm not using a lot of the pattern papers, just mostly the solid ones that are the tone on tone, I guess. And you see that little red card to the left there. The pattern papers, the ones with the busier patterns, had little bits of red in it, and there was not a red solid piece of paper in the kit. So I needed to find red somewhere, so I'm just cutting off little chunks of red from this 3x3 card from one of the other pattern papers to kind of use behind my geotags and use in a couple more places. And I'm able to find some other red bits in the sticker sheets and the die cuts as well to help bring more red onto the page. So the rest of this section here is just me fiddling around with the shapes and the colors, and I wasn't happy with the size of the circles and the geotags, so I had to go back through and cut some of the circles. I'm so picky with little details like that, and I know to anybody looking at the page they would never notice, but you know, it bothers me and I want it to be perfect in my head, so I spend the extra time doing things. The green tag, geotag that's on my photo, it's pointing to my photo, has in the center of it is from the die cut sheet. I love the way these die cut sheets come in the Jelly Bean kits because they're all on this 12 by 12 sheet together and you can see the whole thing. It's not like, you know, like the American Crafts ephemera packs or die cut packs where you have to crack open the plastic package and sift through the whole thing to find the one you want. This is nice. I love how the die cuts are arranged. I think you'll see that sheet again in a minute or two. Okay, so, oh yeah, here's the sheet. I'm picking out a couple more phrases and a few other things to stick down. And I fiddle around with this whole design for a while. And then I decided to go ahead and add my title because I knew what my title was going to be. I had these awesome little green stickers that came right in the Mushroom Medley kit, and I'm going to spell out my title along the curve. And I love the size of these because I didn't want the title to stand out so big that it took away from the design of the page. So these little alpha stickers were just perfect for my title. Okay, so this is pretty much how the page ends up, and now it's just a matter of going back and adding some more details. And I am going to try to glue down the geotags, the ones that I know are going to be in a certain spot. But before I do that, I also decided that I wanted to do some stitching too. So in a little bit here, I'll go through and I wanted to stitch over the globe. But here's one more thing I decided to do, and this is something I haven't done in a very, very long time on a page. This is something I used to do all the time, and that is ink the edges of my papers. I felt that the geotags weren't just popping off the page enough for me. And sometimes when you see like a geotag like on a navigation app, or in this, we use a geocaching app. In the geocaching app, they kind of like have a shadow behind them, like on the icon when it's like on a map. And so I decided to ink the edges of all of the geotag shapes with black, just a little black ink pad to help them pop off the page a little bit more. And it's very subtle, but it definitely helped them pop off more. So I'm really glad I did that. So yeah, that's something I haven't done in a long time, but anyway. Okay, so I take everything off after I've done that, and I go through and stitch some black lines on the globe, and I'm going to just trim off the excess part of the globe here that I don't use. And then I'm just going to start gluing some things on. So I'm gluing those threads down. There's a few little straggly threads on the edge there. And I'm just going to start gluing the geotags back onto the page where I have them. So my kids and I started geocaching this summer, and it is so fun. I actually paid, you can get the app for free, but if you want all the real good coordinates and stuff to all the where the good geocaches are, you have to pay for it. And it's $30 a year, and which really isn't that bad. And we have found, as of today, I think we have found 12. We've probably searched for about 20, and some we have not found yet. So, but it's so much fun, and it gets us outside and exploring, and they love to find the different things. And we've found some pretty cool stuff. So, I wanted my photo to stand out a little bit more, but I didn't want to back it with patterned paper because I didn't want to mess up with all the patterns that I had already picked out with the geotags. So I used the new mixed media sheets from ThermoWeb, which is kind of like a soft interfacing, and it adds just a really subtle, soft edge to my photo, but gives it a little bit of definition from the rest, or it makes it stand off a little bit from the rest of the page. So I like that little subtle touch that interfacing those mixed media sheets add. I use those a lot now on my pages. And I'm also just going through and popping up some of the geotags, and I've added a couple stickers and a few more die cuts here and there. And I really wanted to have like lots of layers, like I guess what I mean by not necessarily layers, but lots of levels. I wanted 1 and 2 levels of things popping off the page. So I have the tag popping off the page, and then the circle on top of that popping off the page. So I also got these clips, these clothespins with the little colored wood veneer pieces on them, which are so adorable. And they have, I got the star pack. I know there are other packs with other shapes. And honestly, I probably wouldn't use the clips on a page. They would be cute in a mini album or something, but or some type of home decor project. But they were too bulky for my page because I had already had a lot of things popping off the page. But I still wanted to use those stars, so I took that orange one up in the left and I tried to gently pull it off, and it was glued on great, and I broke it. So I glued it back together. I hope it stays, and then I kind of do some very careful dissecting here with my pair of scissors on these little wood pieces, and I'm able to kind of cut the wood and the glue off from the pin, and with a little wiggling they came off. But just the little touch that those 3 stars added is just what I needed to kind of finish up this page. And then I go back through and add a little bit of mist here. This is a Mr. Huey's in clay, which is a pretty kind of grayish brown color. And then just going to add that die cut that says Explore, and I do believe I also add in a little arrow from the die cut pack. I'm not sure if I show that in the video here, but there's a little arrow that I add in as well. And then again, I didn't want my journaling to stand out so much, so I don't show my journaling here, but I do my journaling right alongside the arc of the globe, which is kind of a perfect little spot. I considered putting it inside one of the squares there, inside the globe shape, but along the edge worked out just fine. Oh yeah, so there's a little arrow that I add. So that's pretty much it. Kind of a really fun design. I love the way these geotags are popping off the globe, and it really, really, really reminds me of geocaching so much. So this was just a perfect design for my photo and my theme, so I'm glad I went with this. So hope you like this. Go check out all of the pages and projects with all the Jelly Bean Soup team up this week on the Just Nick blog and the Jelly Bean Soup blog as well. And they're having a design team call, so go check that out. Thanks so much. Bye.